Hi everyone, welcome back to vBlox TV where Roblox lovers play together. It's Toto and I know it's been so long that we made a video for the channel and you know the exact reason for it, so we're not gonna get into that. But today I'm back with a tutorial to run this dungeon successfully. And I really love this dungeon because of all the mechanics, and even if you're a great player in general, there must be teamwork. A lot of teamwork, synergy, and also one moment a slip up can actually cost you the game because one slip up can lead to another and another because the final boss mechanics can actually, well, it's easy while it is easy, but one slip up can actually cause a series of unfortunate events. But anyway, without any further ado, let's get into this. I'm just really gonna do a very quick and dirty version of this because I want to dedicate more time to playing. We have yet to gotten all the great gear for the team yet. We're still kind of like in the process of getting better gear for everybody, and so yeah, let's get into this and get it on the way. Actually, before we start, if you're new to this channel or if this is your first time, do not forget to press that subscribe button and feel free to drop all those free likes to let me know that you actually appreciate what I'm doing. It would really make my day. And while watching what we're doing to run this dungeon, if you have any additional input, comments on how we can do things better, suggestions are always welcome because I am open to growing pain. So if there are things that we can improve to make our run more efficient, do let me know in the comment section. And if you've actually done it successfully some other ways, I'm all open to getting things done more efficiently. You know that how I am. Efficiency is the key. So I just want to get everything all kind of like as quickly as possible so we get more experience, more items, and then of course, you know, if I level up a little stronger, I can carry more ults on my own, and so that would be really amazing. Also, if you have any questions about how to do certain things, if I'm not explaining it too clearly, feel free to drop that comment in the comment section as well. I promise I will get to it, but I have to figure out what is the login to vBlox again because I reformatted my computer, and so I no longer have the key to just auto log in anymore, so probably have to at some point try to log back in to answer all your questions. All right, let's get into this. I know that music clip is pretty nostalgic, isn't it? It's nostalgic for me too, brings back old memories and good times. Anyways, first thing first, as always, when running dungeons, respect the rules of the host. Always respect the aggro, who is the aggressor, the person who's going to be doing the most damage, and let them land their hit first so the mobs stay on them. It doesn't ping pong in between players, and as you know, these certain mobs in this dungeon have an extremely long cast range, meaning it can stand a mile from you and cast a small spell that lands you standing a mile away and it will hit. So always respect the aggro. That is an absolute must. And if one is asked to wait for the team, do not charge in. That's what you do. On the second boss, if you actually die at the group prior to the second boss and you spawn into the second boss, stay put. And I mean stay put. Or you can back up into the stair, but do not move forward. And so for that part, you know, you must stay on the second stair because that can actually sabotage the entire run possibly, because the RNG on the second boss is undeniably just pure luck. Sometimes you have great runs, sometimes you just can't. It's just impossible not to die there unless you're like some ultra mega, I would say, a clairvoyant where you know everything is gonna go and you can just run to a specific location. Other than that, you can't. So you always must follow whatever it is the host asks for you. So since we're doing this the vBlox style, I expect that everyone's, when running with us, are gonna run this way so that we can actually have successful runs and always win. So at the first boss, the first thing you will notice is the red text. Look away below the timer there. What you need to do is physically turn your back towards the boss. so that it will not do this platform wipe, where if you're actually slightly turning towards it where you can see it, then it will wipe you. So kind of like, I don't want to see you at my ugliest moments. If you do, then you're dead. So let me put on my makeup kind of thing. Okay. That's a little bit too much. But anyway, so do look away, and while all that is going, the box will select a certain view to have this beam of yellow streaming down onto the head. If you do have that, you will have this trailing hitbox that follows you. There will be like 7 boxes that will trail you the entire way, and so you have to be constantly moving in different direction all the time. You cannot double back, because at any given moment that box catches up to you, it will be an instant death. Maybe with the exception of the healer doing like all guardian, all stamina. And while that is going on, a different mechanic of all these green circles will appear at relatively the same location, pretty much. It's almost in the same vicinity. And so at a certain time, it will actually flash, and like the platform wipe or the room wipe is going to happen. And you'd have to be in one of those green circles in order to be safe. And so while you're running your way away from these trailing boxes that's going to hit you, you have to somehow end up in the green. And so I would actually advise anyone not having a beam to go into the edge of the green circle and stand still, while your teammates who has these beams coming down on them, they can actually maneuver around the other areas of the green circles. And if there are actually a couple of you who do not have that beam following, you can stack up in one spot, share the rest of the space with the people who actually need to dodge the yellow beam mechanics. Or if you actually have 2 people with the yellow beam mechanic running, you can actually both be running counterclockwise or running parallel. Because I know Airpack and I actually have caught each other, and we just decided to run parallel to each other. So kind of like running in different directions, kind of like one going running clockwise, one running counterclockwise, but with moving down parallel in the middle of the circle, where it's each taking half. Kind of like the hemisphere of the circle a little bit, but it works, so I don't know. Like, you would have to figure it out for yourself, but with larger groups, you're gonna have to have more flexibility and adaptability to what the other people will be doing. But you know, if you're running smaller groups, you don't have to worry about it. But you know, we're vBlox, so we're always gonna be running with the crowd. And to make things even more challenging, while all this is happening, we also have the pink orbs there, kind of the magenta hue, like pink, whatever color you want to call it. So there will be a marking of the path where the orb is going to go next. And at the end, there is a larger, wider area of a larger circle. That is the path where the orb is going to take. And once it gets to the destination, an explosion of such size is gonna happen. And so basically, you don't want to be in that path or in that circle at all for that duration. And so if you actually get hit by the orb or get exploded in that area, then you will die. But the thing is, after it does, is marking, signaling, this is where I'm gonna be going, this is where I'm gonna be exploding, it's gonna disappear. So you have to remember. And then you have to stay out of those areas, because a lot of times I saw it, I dodge out, but then I forget. And so once that disappears, I run back into that unsafe zone, and that cost me my life in 10 seconds. And plus some for respawning, now that the respawning time is actually longer. And so that actually reduces damage and your clock time, which can cause you to lose. Meanwhile, all throughout the game, there will be these vertical red lines that are going straight down all of the platform there, or the boss room, and you have to learn to juke out of the way. And they're kind of like jittery pattern, jittering left, right a little bit. And so you just have to turn sideways to make yourself or your hitbox skinnier to dodge in between those lines. Because if you turn the other way with all of the cosmetics and your body size, it's just somehow we're fatter than we are, I guess fatter side to side than we are back to front. And so we just want to turn sideways so that we can make ourselves a little skinnier and squeeze in between those bars. And then what I also learned from a friend, I think it is Jared, that what he told me was that you turn sideways and you practically just press the A or D to run up and down the field there, and then dodge with your W or S just a little bit, make adjustment as needed, because while you're constantly moving like that, you can actually dodge yourself out of the pink orb mechanics. So I learned, I found that to be very useful, so I thought I'd put it in there. And, you know, shout out to Jared for teaching me another thing, because I love friends who actually challenge me and give me something else to grow and improve upon. So I appreciate that. So as you can see, my mistake in this little section is that I should have pressed D and kind of glide down along the narrow opening in between the red instead of trying to cross over the red bars to dodge out of the orb's way. And that's what happened. In the heat of the moment, you just do what you feel at best, or maybe your finger muscle does different things. But you know, in hindsight, it's always 20/20, and in the heat of the moment, you just do whatever it is that you make a judgment call on. So in theory, you should be doing what Corpse is doing, as I've explained, just kind of like dodge a little bit in and out. But I would also recommend gliding up and down a little bit, but since he is in no threat of any of the purple orbs, he didn't need to move. And at the start of those vertical lines going down, you have this wavy snake of red circles going down. You need to dodge out of those because those will actually give you anti-heal and root you. So if you're stuck in there, you're going to be finished off by the jittering lines most likely. And so try your best to not get caught. And that wraps it up for the first boss. I know it took a lot longer to explain than it is in real life. When you execute it, it's gonna be just a couple of seconds, but it just took that long to explain as like all the maneuvers that you need to do and what you need to do. So yeah, it's just quite a bit. For the next two group of mobs, is pretty standard. The aggro go run in first, and then the aggro the first group, then aggro the second group. The second best aggro would actually pop in to the second group to make his or her first attack, and then start rolling back into the first boss's room, so that that aggro can go ahead and round up the group that will spawn after we finish up these two groups. So by the time the party rolls back into the first boss room again, they're all grouped up. We just blast and go on. So you see that I came into the second group in the circular platform there, make my attack, and then start backing out into the first boss room again. When I get into the group at the first boss room, I made my attack and actually hug myself around that flying dragon head a little closer than you would want to do, but have no fear, because you can outmaneuver all of the attack and group up this pack tightly. So by the time the group rolls back, it's all nice in a bunch and we just kill and move on. This upcoming mechanic in the group before the second boss here is important. What we want to do is group up everybody right at the spot where your aggressor, your aggro, is comfortable with to charge in together, and then the aggressor split right, the rest of the party split left. Let the aggressor that's splitting right make their attack land on the mob first before we start casting our spells. Otherwise, the mages will start aggroing the group on the left and kill off everybody. One more thing you will note, that our aggressor, who is Airpack in the mushroom cosmetic from EF there, it's just so that we can easily spot him in the middle of the crowd, and prior to running in, he will hop up twice to get us prepared to tell us that he's gonna charge in, and then all of us charge in at the same time, then make our split. And of course, I picked up this meta from two other nerds by watching them streaming for a little bit, and that is Doge Gamer, our beloved Doge, and Shoop, who formerly went by Soup. In any event, they are so nerdy. But yeah, shout out to Doge and Soup for showing me this meta. I really love it. It's probably my preferred method at this time. AJ also has a different meta to run this area, but it's kind of iffy because everyone is a little scared or gun shy to pull that other method. So we're gonna stick to this one for the while. Coming up is the second boss. Now, if you actually die at the group that we just killed, then you will spawn in at the second boss. Please do not move forward. If anything, move backward onto the steps and wait for the team there because we don't want anyone to make any movement forward. That would actually activate the second boss and would not allow a safety passage for the rest of the party to come in to make our cast onto the boss, and there would be a lot of death and timer countdown, time loss, all that process, and it become a mess. So please, if you die at this group or the group we just killed, stay put, like be frozen, play statue, whatever you need to do, just do not run in. So the first mechanic is the vertical lines filling up the room again, similar to that of the first. And all you have to do is turn sideways, be skinny, and dodge out of those. And then you will see that 2 random members in the party will be connected to 2 orbs on either side of the room. And think of those lines as a fuse to a time bomb. So those members will have to safely maneuver themselves over to the orbs and touch them in order to neutralize the threat. If you don't do this in a timely manner, the bomb will go off, the explosive will go off and wipe out the entire party. So it's necessary that you do this in a timely manner. We haven't really gotten down the exact time window for this, but just make your safe passage over and touch that orb as quickly as possible. You will also note that the boss will spawn 4 random circles around him, and what those 4 circles will do is cascading down larger circles to spread around him in 4 different angles. They are pretty random. Sometimes they're going at a certain angle and other different. It could be straight down, straight to the side, or slightly off at 45 like we're seeing here. And so what you need to do is dodge in between those cascades of circles, or dodge out of the way somehow, otherwise you will die. While all this is going on with 2 members being linked to the time bomb, 1 member will be outlined in red and the person turns darker shade, and what happens is that there will be these pools, boiling pools, that will drop on him or her, and it will linger on for about 3 seconds or more before it disappears. What the person needs to do is dodge out of the pool because it's instant death if he or she doesn't. And what this person needs to do is dodge out just half a circle, just right outside of the previous pattern that's just dropped, and successfully doing that, so that the area for this is going to be minimized. Think of it as an Audi logo on the car, right? Where it's overlapping, or Venn diagram, or the Olympics sign, where it's kind of overlapping like that. You don't want to spread out all 5 full circle in kind of like a pearl necklace, and then it's spreading everywhere, and then we can't even get through. And also try to be mindful to stay to the side of the platform, or somewhere where people are not normally gonna run into for safety. And so here you see air pack getting marked up top there behind the boss. So that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna slowly maneuver there. Everyone else stay away from that member, giving them room to run, because if you're caught in the pool, you're sure as dead as well. And this boss is probably the hardest to run if there is no healer running with you. So we have universal healers to help a little bit, but in other parties, I don't know if they're doing the same thing or what they might be doing, but keep in mind that that person will have to dodge just enough to not get killed, but not to spread the area to the, into the maximal. Also, what they need to do is to run those pool, like maybe 3 of them outside of the little safe area that's marked, and then coming back into the safe area as necessary, because you don't want to mark the entire safe circle with all these pool and then no one else has anywhere to go and can really juke all the vertical lines that's attacking as well. So you have to be really mindful of your party. The next mechanic is where the boss marks the entire room with fire where it's going to attack and zone out a small circle for everyone to be in for safety when that attack goes off. And so what everybody has to do is try to maneuver the vertical lines while stay in that safe area. So it's a little bit of a challenge. And here is where skill is going to be in place, because that one person who has been marked with the outline, he or she will have to maneuver out of that area and just come in just enough, maybe the last 2 circles or pool, then come back into the safe area to seek refuge. Otherwise, all of this area is going to be marked and eliminate safety zone from the rest of the members. You can see that Air is doing a great job with all those little circles up there and come back into the safe area as he's completing his circle. However, RNG has it that the red lines just appear right where he was standing and he had nowhere to go and just gave up his life. The next mechanic is where the boss will randomly throw a crosshair on random members, and you have to be constantly moving. There is no specific marked target where only that person needs to move. He is gonna randomly switch targets, so the crosshair can be on anybody. So you have to be constantly moving in one direction, either sideways, left to right, or up and down to or from the boss, so that you can dodge out of these crosshair. Caught in these crosshair is gonna be instant death. And to make matter worse, he's gonna have this purple line that is saccading down the field at various interval. I cannot say that is actually a fixed interval that comes down to. So you have to time it. You have to guesstimate where the next one is gonna land, and then you have to stand a little further south of that, and south meaning down towards the screen. So then you can actually get your speed in and start running north. As soon as that flashes right near you, then you start running north toward the boss and get out of the way. That is the only way to do it. I know in theory it sounds easy, but it takes practice, so you have to constantly do this. And then it just rinse and repeat. But if you actually die to this boss, what you need to do is just charge in and land your attack while you're still in the safety bubble of about 5 or 7 seconds there. So at least get that in first. Try to dodge all of the rooting that will happen, just like the purple lines that's coming down. That roots you and that prevent you from reaching the boss safely in your bubble. So that's the only thing that you really need to watch for. Everything else, just charge right through because you're safe to go. So the rest of the regular mobs just have someone who is experienced with aggroing to run these groups. For this group right here that we just killed, what you would have to do is run straight through. Do not curve, do not turn, just run straight through with your speed while casting, and move to the right side of the stairway over there a little bit. And then once the mobs start moving again, you want to make another move from about, say, if that is 11 o'clock, you want to run directly straight to 3 o'clock. And that will actually allow you safe passage. And then after that, it's easier because your party probably kill off most of the mobs, maybe leaving a few straggler if they missed. Yes, we're almost home free. I know it's a long tutorial because I really want to explain the mechanics thoroughly so that you understand exactly what each of the mechanic does. There may be something that we're missing as well, so do feel free to leave comments so that we can supplement each other's and can run this dungeon even faster and easier. So if you have anything else to add, please feel free to leave a comment. And actually, you're welcome to leave comments as to what your party does that's a little bit differently from ours and you're actually successful as well. So let us know. And what is your fastest running time for this dungeon? Not that is not the real time, but what's the highest clock time in game that you have achieved? And that would be really great too, because I want to see who does that best. I'm probably gonna start a channel in our Discord server as well. The Discord server link is in the description of this video as well, so you can actually join there and leave your image just so that we can be so impressed, I guess. Anyways, moving on to the final boss. The first mechanic we will encounter here is a solid beam aiming at one member of your party, kind of like the beam we have in the Golden Golem during boss raid. So that beam will sizzle and you will be cooked. And then at the same time, a yellow orb will appear randomly somewhere around the room and around that boss at a specific radius. These spiral snake that will actually come out and spiraling outward, just like Rodin, they reincarnated Odin, but these are a little smaller. These yellow orbs will actually root you, and while rooting, orbs on either side will start charging at you as well. The pink orbs coming from either side of the room will nuke a vicinity within that explosion. So if you're far enough from it, you're safe. So if you do not trust your party, move away from them, just in case they will actually touch that orb and explode. So at least you can survive. And the other thing is, you will spawn in and you can actually cause nuking as well, because you don't know when the orbs is gonna arrive to the spawn point in here. So that's why it's very important that you do not nuke or die here. Just try to stay alive. I mean, the whole point of the dungeon is stay alive, don't die, right? I mean, if you want to be successful. So that's pretty much it. And then you have the memory pattern again, where there will be these 3 green orbs that will, not orbs, I'm sorry, circle that will appear on the floor there. There will be 3 of them in succession, and so you have to memorize where the circles, where the pattern was, and then run to those patterns in sequential order so that you can be safe. Otherwise, there will be flooding of the entire room and you will die in the process. And during the first of those patterns, when it actually activates, there will be these pink or magenta color strings of circles that comes down, and if you touch those, then you will be rooted or bubble, and then there's that huge potential that an orb will be flying at you at the same time. And if you're unlucky enough where 2 orbs is gonna be colliding into you successively, then the entire party will be wiped, because everybody will have to try to stay in this small circle where there's also smaller circle inside that will root you. So if you're rooted and the party has to be close to you because that's the only safe area, then it's gonna be party wiped. And so be careful of that. And if you're lucky, then the 3 green circles for the safety area is actually near each other or overlapping like a Venn diagram, then you're okay. But if they're far away, then you for sure will get wiped when that flooding occurs of the entire room. The last mechanic we have here is 4 yellow firewalls that will appear on top of the room there. It will actually stay static for a couple of seconds before it's coming down. There is a single opening in the firewall where you have to position yourself there. Otherwise, when it starts sliding south, down towards the room, you will be burned to death. So you have to get yourself positioned in between these openings, and they're pretty random. So sometimes it's RNG. You may have one that is like right next to each other, so you have to maneuver just a little bit left or right while dodging the orbs that are bombarding from the sides. Or it may be from the very far right of the room to the very left of the room, back to the very far right. So it's very random. So you have to prepare and save your running speed for these. And so it's best that you're kind of staying near the boss, and as soon as you dodge out one, you kind of try to see where the next one would be so that you can start maneuvering to that area right as you got through the opening of the previous wall. That is the only way for you to stay alive. Most of the time when it's too far right or too far left, eventually your speed will run out and you give yourself up to the burning fire. And with that, we wrapped it up for the final boss. our party is pretty strong, so we didn't get to see all the other mechanics. But later on, the pattern recycle itself pretty much repeat, but on the second cycle, you'll get to see 2 yellow orbs appearing. So you get 2 Spirosmith running around you instead of just 1. And so it just add in a little bit more of a layer of difficulty. But that is it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching my video, and leave a like if you find this to be helpful, and if you don't find it to be helpful, leave a comment as to why it didn't help you. Anyways, I'll catch you later and see you in game. Again, is Toto. You can actually join me on Discord server when I do the run. Is Toto V. Oh, actually, by the way, I made it onto the leaderboard again, and so I'm somewhere in the 80s, maybe lower 80s now as I'm being knocked down. It's pretty common, but it's Toto V, Totovy 87. All right, catch you guys later. Have a great one.